Aaron Mliner.
That's me.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, man.
It's nice to have you in the studio.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is awesome. What a wonderful place. All these books. Have you read all these books?
I've read 90% of them.
Okay.
You can pick one and ask me about it.
Just a whole
That'd be a cool pod.
Just you, yeah, just me asking you about what book. The Gary Shandling book, I'm sure, is great.
Obviously great. I read that one, yeah.
Yeah.
It's has some, you watched the documentary on HBO?
I loved the documentary.
Oh, then you'll love the book.
Okay.
But it's also like a rehash of, there's nothing new in the book.
Right.
But it's nice. It's like, oh, it's...
There's a point in the book, in the doc that it really resonated with me, which was when he talks about how you believe in yourself and you try to stick true to that and you're doing it. And sometimes you don't believe, but then you still believe. And then everyone else starts to believe.
Yeah.
And he talks about that moment at the Comedy Store when he realized everyone else starts to believe. It was very powerful.
It always stuck with me well, first of all, this is called It's Show Business because it's Gary Shandling's show.
Oh, that's right.
So I was like, that's what I was inspired by having the it's there.
Oh, that's amazing.
And also just like his story he was so true to who he was.
Yes.
And every time he approached a new medium, he changed the medium. Like he changed TV.
100%.
I guess he changed comedy a little bit, but more so the TV.
Yeah.
He was doing comedy well. I don't know if he revolutionized comedy, but in the doc, I like that near the end, he was trying to invent like a new form of comedy.
Yeah.
They were saying.
Yeah. He was very zen.
Very zen.
Which is unlike a lot of comics. Comics.
But he had anger. You saw in the doc.
100%.
The Ricky Gervais scene was hilarious.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's so good. I actually have to go back and watch it. I would like to see it again now that, because I watched it when it first came out.
Yeah.
A couple more years into comedy now, it's nice to go back and watch that kind of stuff.
Sometimes it's nice just to put it on because you feel like a friend is on TV.
Yeah.
It's like you're hanging out with your friends.
Yeah, and he was really great around, like, he would have basketball games, like a lot of the Comedy Store guys would play basketball with him.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like that he just seemed to really love it. And like all his choices to like leave school, to really pursue it full time and to give it all and like leave it all on the field.
Yeah.
Like give everything. To the point where I have the Gary Shandling show, Larry Sanders show DVDs.
Yeah.
And on the DVDs, have you watched them?
I have not seen that show in a long time.
But they have behind the scenes. And his behind the scenes are so in depth. It's basically the first podcast. He has guests on. They have kind of like uncensored, unfiltered conversations.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's amazing. I'll lend it to you after this.
Yeah, that'd be great. That's also available on HBO Max, right? I mean, you can watch all of the Larry Sanders show,
but not
right?
the extras.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's only on the DVDs.
Yeah.
That's a missing part now that we don't have.
Totally. I miss the extras. The director commentary
is the best.
The best.
When Adam McKay and Will Ferrell would it was all bullshit. It was like all them just screwing around. Can we say bullshit? Sorry.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. All right, I don't know.
It's a family show business podcast.
Good.
That's my next pod.
Yeah, it's just Christian people listening. Yeah, but that's my favorite is like the director's commentary wasn't serious at all. It was just them messing around. So I really miss that kind of stuff.
I like the...
They save everything for credits now. Sorry to interrupt, but that's, you know what I mean? Like they don't take cuts and put them on bonus options on a DVD because...
No, because you just buy... But now iTunes extras.
Oh.
So if you buy a movie on iTunes, like I have the new Tarantino film.
Oh, yes.
And all the extras are available.
Oh, yes.
That would be on the DVD in iTunes extras.
He's talking about he's going to put together a extended cut of that.
I can't wait.
Me
I
too.
love that movie.
It was great.
I've watched it like 10 times.
It's so good.
I saw it 3 times in the theater.
I saw it at the New Beverly.
I did too.
Yeah.
Maybe we were both there. Was Questlove when you were there? Because he was there when I was there.
That's so funny. It was a Saturday night right before the Oscars.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, the Emmys. Yeah, because Emmys. And Bill Hader walked in just chilling.
I saw it one time when Bill Hader was there.
That's so funny. He must have seen it a couple times too.
Or maybe we were there on the same night.
I was a Saturday night. It might have been.
I mean, that's pretty big. Well, we should go look up our ticket purchases after this.
Can you imagine? It was the Saturday before the Emmys.
If we have the same show, same shoes, and same ticket.
We're the same person in an alternate reality.
I've had that feeling sometimes when I'm like, maybe I'm also this person.
Oh yeah.
Not with you, but like with other people.
Yeah.
With one person specifically, I think maybe we're just like time morphing and we're the same person.
I mean, time is not real, right?
Is it not real?
I don't think so.
I was talking to Beth about this last night.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, if we mark this moment in time, like mark it right now, just like I marked it last night, you'll just all of a sudden appear somewhere else. You're going to appear somewhere else.
Okay.
And it will feel, if you mark that moment in your mind, it'll feel like you just time warped.
Wait, explain this again?
Like just mark it. Make like a mental note of this moment.
Okay.
Saturday morning in the studio.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden mark the next time. You'll be like, wow, I just like teleported.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's how I feel when I go to sleep on a plane and wake up like somewhere else. It's like if you go to sleep somewhere and wake up somewhere else, it's time travel. You don't know because you were asleep. I mean, but
yeah, that is actually time travel because you are gaining and losing hours.
Yeah.
But it all comes back.
yeah, does it?
You're not gaining time. You're just, time is,
So you give it when you go one place, you get it when you come back.
yeah, I don't know. It's back in time. Can we go back in time? Maybe.
You can if you travel from Korea to here. You're going back in time.
No, but can you like really, like back
No.
to no.
I don't know.
But we love back in the time movies, like Back to the Future, amazing. Avengers,
Nostalgia.
Endgame, like going back in time to fix stuff. It's like we get to fix our mistakes. It's like we have a deep desire to be perfect and like not make mistakes.
Yeah.
So we can go back in time and fix Thanos.
And we think that we want to go back because maybe it was a simpler time, or was a memory we had when someone was still alive, or it's people want to grab onto something that feels familiar to them, so that's why we want to evolve, but we still want to. I mean, they're rebooting Frasier,
Yeah.
they're rebooting Dexter. No one wants new. They want the same
Familiar.
thing, right?
That movie with Owen Wilson, Midnight in Paris.
Oh yeah,
When he goes back to like, he's like, this is the best time. This is the best time to be alive.
Right.
And then he meets the girl and she finds out about the time machine and she's like, oh, wait, we can go back to earlier when the best time is. And he's like, no, you're living in the best time. She's like, no, they are.
Yeah,
and so
right.
everyone has their own like, oh, it's romanticizes the past.
right. Did you see that Andy Samberg movie, Palm Springs?
I love that movie.
It's good.
It was
great.
It caught me out of nowhere.
Me too.
We just put it on and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It starts off as one thing. You're like, all right, I've seen this movie before, basically. And then it goes into this other thing. And you're like, oh, this is way better than what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah, they just have always done really well.
Who's they?
Just Lonely Island. I think it was one of the gentlemen who directed it.
I don't know what Lonely Island is.
Wait, yes you do.
I don't.
It was all the digital shorts on SNL. That was all Lonely Island guys. It was 3 guys. It was Andy Samberg was kind of it was Yorma, I don't remember their names. But there's 3 guys.
Oh, I didn't know they were like a thing.
Yeah.
Oh.
And Lonely Island was, these kids that just, loved being funny and goofy. They had a pilot that you can watch on, it's like on YouTube. It was a Fox pilot called Awesome Town. And it's phenomenal. It's so funny. It's so ridiculous. And it's the beginning of Lonely Island. And then they go on. Andy gets on SNL. And I'm assuming he was kind of like, hey, or it was a package deal. Because any of the digital shorts you ever saw that, I don't know, like Dick in a Box, all those are all Lonely Island.
I thought it was SNL. I didn't know.
It's Lonely Island.
So was that not on the show?
What?
The Dick in the Box and those?
No, that was all written while they were on SNL. But what I'm saying
but
is
not
like,
shot on SNL.
yeah.
So was it live? Like
the
live
digital shorts?
Yeah.
No, they're all shot like,
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought they were just clips from the show.
no.
Interesting.
It's like Dick in a Box is, hey, they have Justin and they have them for the day and they're just going to film this and then it goes, so, it's probably a couple of weeks or a month in advance.
Interesting.
And then they show it on, but the digital shorts, I mean, TV Funhouse was kind of the beginning of SNL, but the digital shorts, a lot of that is Lonely Island. Yeah. And it's remarkable. You can go back and watch the Awesome Town. It still holds up.
So the I'm on a boat.
I'm on a boat.
I'm on a boat was like a legit hit song.
It was, you could play that in the club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like, it was a
So
time.
was I Just Had Sex with, I Just Had Sex. You never heard that one? Yeah. That was like right after it.
Because TPain was so hot.
Yes.
It was basically like, oh, you can put TPain on anything
Right.
and it'll be a hit.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was a real song. I was like,
I'm pretty sure Justin Timberlake and Andy Samberg won an Emmy or a Grammy for Dick in a Box.
really?
Yeah. I'm almost positive.
Grammy in a box.
Grammy in a box. That's when you put your grandma in a little container.
Oh boy. Let's talk about you and your amazing.
Yes, let's.
Aaron has an amazing club,
Oh, thank you.
formerly known as The Bunker.
Yes.
Now known as The Nitecap?
The Nitecap.
Or just Nitecap?
The Nitecap.
The Nitecap.
Yeah. Yes. And it's been fun. It's been great. I started it kind of like I was getting the idea pre-pandemic. Pandemic happened. And then we shifted to outdoor shows and, continued to try and do comedy while everything may not have come back. I was taking a risk and it worked.
No risk, no reward.
That's right.
So it's 40 seats in Burbank.
It's 40. It'll be 50 inside.
50
40
inside.
outside right now on the little patio.
So a great small room with like where it really cracks. The inside, having done the inside and outside, they're both great in their own ways. Which is, I try to tell people the outside is like inside but outside because there's a ceiling,
yes,
and walls, but there's airflow through it.
Yeah, it's a carport, as I guess is what that term is where you can park a car in some shade.
I was trying to make it sexier, but yes, it is a carport.
Well, I appreciate that. I just think it's easier to. It is.
Your description is more accurate.
Well, the reason why is because a lot of the outdoor shows, what was happening was. They kind of got lost in the sauce because it was in a park and, the laughter just, it's gone.
Yeah.
So, or there's a lot of noise. Burbank's a sleepy town. It can be a little bit loud like anything, but for the most part, it's pretty quiet.
Yeah.
But with the carport, the laughter stays just like in a small room.
It does.
So that's what's great about it is, it was outdoors, but indoors. Like you said, I really like that term that you coined.
Yeah.
Indoors but outdoors.
Indoors but outdoors. You got to see it to believe it. So I'm trying
I
to
love
tease
this.
them.
I love it. And I'm so excited. In about a month, we're going to be inside again.
Fantastic.
And I'm really, really excited about what the inside's going to look like.
Yeah.
Because it was cool before, but it's going to look real slick.
Yeah, because you're doing a renovation, new
Yes.
stuff.
Yeah. So right now I'm in the middle of it. My dad and I'm doing all the work. It's cool because the other thing about it is it's kind of run by comedians. And that's important to me. I think building the community is important and keeping LA, the comedy scene happening, especially after what we all went through. So, there's other places that are trying to do it. And then there are the meccas like the Store and the Laugh Factory and whatnot, and Improv. But I'm just a little guy. I'm just trying to, make it happen.
Yeah, but a little guy with 5 shows a night.
Yeah.
Or 5 shows a week.
And you're in one of them.
I'm one of the
Latif and Friends on Wednesdays.
Friends is Wednesdays.
Yeah.
And what's your philosophy in terms of like the way you book your shows? Because that's one thing as, someone who runs a show and you run a club and shows and have done other things like the festivals and such, the Southland Festival. It's like everyone has their own philosophy on how they book.
Yeah.
And I find I had a really productive conversation with Mike Turner, who books the Don't Tell conversation comedy show. And I even learned some things from him of what not to do. So I'd love to hear your philosophy about how you approach booking and also what the best way to approach you to get booked is.
I'm super lucky that I kind of came up in the LA scene. So a lot of my peers are now on the next class. If you look at it like high school, right? So the freshman, the sophomore, junior, senior, then the kids that go on and do college and then the masters. So that's how I think about it is I started with one class.
Yeah.
And now I've kind of moved up. Being a comedian is helpful. A lot of bookers aren't comedians. The bigger clubs, should I say. But I love comedy. I've always loved comedy. I grew up watching it. Doing stand-up is something that I love, and I love to watch it. So it's important to me that I book good comedians. I don't say funny comedians because that's just...
That can be subjective.
Yeah, it mostly is.
Yeah.
And somebody who's funny to me may not be funny to somebody else. That's okay. But I want to book a show that's top to bottom, just different ideas, different viewpoints, not the same old. And I really like to find...
You only book white guys is what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm strictly just, Yeah, it's the white cap, actually. That's what we call it. No, I try really hard to just keep a good overall different type of voices. I think it's important. And I love comedy. So if you are funny and I've seen you out, I will book you. There was a kid recently that we do like a Tuesday night, we do like the Only Friends, which is kind of like a showcase of the fresher kids in town, the freshman class,
right.
if you would. I mean, other comics jump on it, bigger names too. But there was a kid who I saw at an open mic. Actually, the night I ran into you at the Mint, I saw him go up. And his name is Luke Walls, young kid, Canadian kid. I saw him. I was like, oh, this kid's funny. Then he did the show and crushed.
Yeah.
And I had a moment where I was like, I just want to tell him one thing to help him because he's young. And I remember somebody telling me this. So I kind of like battled with it for a second because I don't want to be that guy.
Right.
Doug Stanhope always said, if you give advice, it's just making somebody more like you. So I don't like advice.
Yeah.
But I think it's helpful to tell him this. So I finally decide to say it. I'm like, hey, slow down. You are working so quickly in your mind and the audience is not with you. So if you slow down, they will laugh harder because they'll be with you. Then he did. I had him come back and do a Moonlit, and which is my Friday night shows, Saturday. And he did so well. And it was like he took the note, and I was like, "Oh, okay." Like I felt good.
Yeah.
Because I'm like,
Imagine when he just bombs. You're like,
yeah. Uh-oh. And he like stops comedy. He's just like done with it.
Yeah.
He's like, you did this. But it's it's like I'm a comedian first, but I also know what funny is. I've been doing it long enough where I'm a better. I feel like I'm a better like booker than I am a comedian at this point, but that'll switch, I think.
Why do you say that?
Because I can tell.
You have an eye for talent.
I have an eye for talent.
That's the thing.
I've always been that way with music too. I used to DJ.
Yeah.
And so I would play songs that weren't
like early before they broke.
Oh yeah. That was like I was really into that.
Yeah.
So
that's a very similar thing. Like I think music is the hardest one to identify. Someone had this great quote like, it's not hard to tell what music is good. It's hard to tell what's really good and what's bad.
Uh-huh.
So it's like everything seems good, but good will kill, especially if you're a label, good will kill you.
Yeah.
But great is
will
what
make
you need. Great
Yeah.
will make you.
Yeah.
That's even better.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. It goes without, and that's why I am really good. I feel like I'm really good with curating my lineups.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's so much talent in LA.
So much.
So it's easy. It makes it easy for me. I'm lucky.
But it makes it hard because you have to say no, or a lot of people waiting to get on.
It's interesting how there are moments in like early comedy careers that they are doing it for you, basically, they're doing it to themselves. Like I had a guy cold call. We have a phone number that's attached. Cold called and was like, "Hey man, my name is such and such. I would love to," and I just interrupted him. I said, "Send tape to get ready for the email. Are you ready?"
Yeah.
I'm new in town. Send tape to, because it's, first off, if you are new in town, do not go on Facebook and look up comedy clubs' phone numbers. Go to the comedy club.
Do they have phone? I didn't even know they take calls.
Yeah. You can call the Comedy Store right now. We could prank call whoever's...
Who answers?
It's the door guys. The door guys are running the
Where's the phone?
It's upstairs. I'm not telling people where the phone is, okay?
That's hilarious.
Yeah, there's a room where the door guys answer calls during the day. Like, it's part of the job.
Comedy Store.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah, I was wondering, do you sell
I guess
alcohol?
they got to be like, yeah, is it over 21? There's probably like customer.
Right. Which is a frequently asked questions portion on anybody's website. Or I mean, the answers are there, but you get people who still... And this has gone a little... I mean, back in the 80s or 90s, that didn't exist. So it was like the phones were important.
Right.
Right? And those door guys will call in avails. So, hey, Anthony Jeselnik, are you available tonight still? Great. Okay, we'll see you at 8:30. Like they're also kind of helping out. So if you're going to come to a city like Los Angeles and you're new, the best thing to do if you're a comedian is to show up, right?
Show face.
Show face. It sounds terrible, but it's mandatory. You want to be a part of the scene. You don't just call. Go and check it out.
I mean, this is shocking because I didn't even know you could call.
Right.
It doesn't even enter. Maybe because I'm like.
But you're old school too.
I'm old. I'm like the first millennial generation, like the very first year
me
of
too.
millennials, and I'm like, okay, well, so I have like tendencies of the generation before me and after, but this is one where I lean heavily millennial. I would like call, like, that's like email maybe.
Yeah. Well, even I mean, if you're new in town, that you want to go and see.
Well, that's how you meet. For everything is given to you in this town from like your peers.
100%.
So you got to build your network of people, and it's also a great way to make friends. I've made some of the best friends in comedy.
And comedy is one of those communities that will literally help you.
Yeah.
In what you want to do, and is great for being around. You know, comics love being around other comics because no one understands them.
Yeah.
Except them. You know, like you have a conversation at a, you know, it's if I'm at a, you know, stuffy party and I'm listening to somebody hold court, I'm not taking the reins. I'm letting this guy who doesn't get a chance to ever talk.
Right, exactly.
What do you think, Aaron? I'm like, I don't know, talk to this guy. Like,
parties, I'm like, I would take a step back.
Exactly.
I'm like, I'm not getting involved in this.
But if you show up with a couple of comedians, they stick together. It's like when motorcycles ride and they nod at each other. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
You see a comedian, and it's great when you run into bigger comedians and you're like, hey, I'm a comic. They will stop. I remember I met Patton Oswalt in a parking lot right actually up the street from here. In the you live next to this Vaughn's, like
Vaughn's?
Yeah. And or whatever it is. It's Pavilion.
Ralph's?
Yeah,
Pavilions?
whatever. The one, I'm not going to tell you the cross streets, but it's like over here in your area.
Okay.
And I see him walking, and he's walking into the grocery store, and I'm coming out of it, and I just stopped. I said, hey, you know, big fan. Thank you so much for everything. I'm a comedian. And he like stopped his tracks where it would have been like, hey, thanks so much. I was like, I'm a comedian. He's like, oh, great. Oh, where do you go up? Like he actually talked to me for 5 minutes.
Yeah. If you were like, hey, I'm a fan of the
Boom,
show.
he would have kept walking.
Well, maybe. We don't know.
He would have been like, thanks, man, on his way. But because I do this thing that he's been doing for a long time, now he's like, oh, you're one of us.
Yeah, I mean, they use the term, you're not a civilian. You're which is a little condescending, but I love it.
Yeah. Most comics do love it.
Yeah, it's like I mean, this whole town is like that. Are you in the business?
Yeah.
It's the one business. They say it like it's the mafia.
Yeah, show business.
Right, because every city, I think it's changing now, but like New York is a finance town.
Okay.
You're in finance, the door's open to you. There's some arts, but like the power of the city is in finance. Mm-hmm. Here, the power is in entertainment.
Right.
A little tech is on the edges and stuff, but
that's
like
San Francisco. It's like San Francisco, finance, New York, San Francisco, tech, LA, Hollywood.
Yeah, and they all have San Fran's a little,
of course,
little techie. I mean, little finance, a little bit of art, but like there's just if you make it in the thing that the city is aligned with, the doors to the city open up in a different way. And I think that's why like even lower level people in the industry have an access to this town that people who aren't in it don't have.
And if they live here and they go somewhere else and say that they live in Los Angeles or in Hollywood, people automatically will pay attention to them. It
does really hold weight. It's kind of funny.
It is, but there are levels, and that's part of it too, right? Mm-hmm. It's like if you say that you go up at the Comedy Store, right? But you've just done a show in the Belly Room once. You don't go up. You know what I mean?
But we know that,
right? But that's what I'm saying. If that guy or girl goes to Oregon and says that he goes up at the Comedy Store, and lies, basically, they're like, oh my gosh, yeah, please do a 5-minute set. Yeah, you know what I mean? That's pretty wild. It's like making a fake ID or like fake VIP pass.
Yeah, there's that thing. It's like you kind of you represent what you want a little bit more sometimes than you have. But it's really easy to cross that line and go too far. Yeah. You know, and we see it all the time. It's like, all right, you're repping it a little bit. Oh, you're repping a little too hard. You're repping more than you're working, or you're telling the story before it's happened too much. And we all see it, and sometimes it happens. I'm sure I've been guilty of it. And it's like you pull it back a bit, and you let the work speak for itself. Right. And then I gotta advertise myself more. And so it's like this constant struggle we all have to do, especially since our promotion is now self-reliant. We have to do everything on the social media platforms to stand out.
Right.
Because it's a flow of content now. There's no more releases. It's just,
Yeah.
how are you going to, there's no shelf where you're going to be like, Aaron's new release. Oh, I'll buy that.
Right.
The shelf is the algorithm.
Right.
So how are we navigating that?
Yeah. It's crazy. And it's analogous to music, because music is the same way now.
Yeah.
I mean, what I do like about music, which I wish would hopefully start to happen in some regard with comedy or entertainment, is, let's say, the new Kendrick Lamar album.
I was just thinking about, does he have a new album?
No, but I've been putting it in the ether.
That it's coming out?
I feel like
it's coming out.
I feel some Kendrick in the.
Yeah. That's so funny. I thought that yesterday.
I've been talking about it with people. I'm like, I'm feeling Kendrick coming.
Yeah. Because lyricalness needs to come back.
He's on. I mean, obviously, we talk about levels. He's lyrical. He's just. I mean, production wise, it's really good stuff. But when he puts out a new album, you get one. When you look at it on Apple or on Spotify, they just release one track. They have an album release still, right? So it's August 27th is the new Kendrick or whatever, right? But when you go on Apple, it's just one song. You can see the track list, and maybe you don't even see the names. It's just numbers.
Right.
And then they release one. I love that, because that's still kind of a release.
Yeah.
And then you have other artists that are like, boom, surprise album. Beyonce just throws an album out there. Yeah. So I just hope
those are all examples of Kendrick got in of the last generation to do it the old way. I think it's changed.
I still, 100%. But I still think that artists are going to be doing it like that. Bigger names.
But like it's
you can
constant.
tease for it.
Look how much material Drake puts out, and he's the biggest artist of all time.
Right. Yeah.
Like it's a flow, and if you're not feeding it, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's not a full length album anymore. It's like little EPs.
He was the first one to be like, it's like what, 26 songs or something. It's like 2 albums in a year.
Right.
Like he had that Drake and Future album, and I'm sorry for whatever writing this poorly, whatever it was, like the kid print. If you see this, it's too late to like call me on my handwriting. Like,
and I love that there are comedians. Like, that's another cool thing that I love about music and comedy is musicians look at comedy like, wow, you guys are amazing. And comedians look at musicians and they're like, wow, you guys are amazing. And there's this, he's like, they kind of live kitty corner to each other.
It's very similar.
Yeah.
I mean, I came from music, as you did, from music to comedy, and I felt like it's a similar thing.
Absolutely.
And to the point where I now look back on music and it's a little like, wait, we're writing this thing and we're singing or rapping it over and over. And then we're like, all right, here it is. And then it goes to a factory that makes it on plastic discs. This is the 90s. And then it sends it to the store.
We time traveled right now, by the way.
It's psychotic. And it like to explain that now, and I was there, it sounds fucking crazy. And even like, think about like the rap diss track. Oh, this guy's going to get it.
Yeah.
In 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're like, what?
Yeah. Yeah, because you got to put it out on, somebody's got to make it.
We have to record it.
Right.
And you spend like a week making it. You're like,
all right, mixing it and mastering it.
And then it goes to the vinyl.
Yeah.
Or whatever. That's crazy.
Well, that's why we talk about rap beefs. It was like when the Pusha T Drake thing happened. It was like, Drake, you have 48 hours to respond. You have a very small amount of time. Whereas in the 90s, it was like, all right, I'll see you in 6 weeks.
Yeah, like remember like the Jay-Z Nas?
Oh yeah, which
like,
I just listened to again.
It was like months apart.
Yeah, it was months. It was half a year. Jay-Z put out the Blueprint.
Yeah.
And dissed him. Like the end of the year, he put out Ether.
Yeah.
Or not the end of the year. Yeah.
I don't know what the timeline.
September 11th is when Blueprint came out.
Yeah.
And then by December,
was it a year?
It was by December. It was like almost a new year, like December, January. He put out Ether.
Yeah, it might have come out earlier.
Yeah,
in New York or on like they might have brought it to Hot 97 or something to play it, but like it is, and that's what with comedy. It's like there are words on stage. We're not making it into something. You know what I mean? So like when you take that philosophy back to music, you're like, What's more crazy, a guy talking on stage or someone putting their words down
Yeah.
forever?
Yeah, you're a technical. That's more technical the way you did it and the way that you do it. It's technical. Everything that has to be done is technical, right? From the music standpoint.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, it's
Because
you have to write it out, and then
Yeah.
you have to, it's like everything's technical, whereas some jazz is very fluid and flowy.
Yeah,
There's no
yeah, yeah.
technicality there. I mean,
Right.
as far as the musicianship there is, right? You have to be a really good drummer to like be able to do whatever you want, or you have to be a good sax player or piano player. That's once you learn the technique, then you can flow through it.
Yeah.
So you were saying that you don't feel like you can just get on stage and flow.
Well, I can. I just find it rarely leads. Like if I go on stage with a premise, I rarely feel that it leads somewhere funny.
Really?
That's for me. But if I go, and I heard Nate Bargatze say this, and it really stuck with me. If you go on stage with the beginning and somewhere funny at the end to get out of it, you can take your time in the middle.
I listened to that. That's the podcast he did with the gentleman who does the joke writing one.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what really changed it for me. I was like, all right, I can go up with a premise and some punchline, and it can be short, and I can take my time to get there.
Oh,
But if I go up just with the premise, I don't know if I'll get there.
Oh, see, and I am the opposite. I like my back against the ropes. I want the pressure of I don't know where this is going.
Yeah.
For me, yeah, you'll fail,
Right.
but that's part of it. The pressure for me is I don't want to fail. I need to get out of this story. There's an audience waiting for the ending. Like,
Yeah.
what
Do you
more-
find the ending
more
on stage
necessity?
sometimes?
I have. Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, like I have a bear joke, and I found it on stage.
Yeah.
It was bad for a long time, and it was kind of a.
I love that it's a bear joke.
Oh, my bear joke.
I've never heard it.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I'm not going to do it right now, but the point is that I had a situation in Yosemite, and then I was talking about it on stage, and then I kind of fell into this concept, and then same thing, talking about this concept, and fell into the
Yeah.
ending. And I think it's silly. I like it, and people seem to like it too. But for the most part, I literally fell into it.
Yeah. Well, actually, I will say last week, Wednesday,
Yeah.
I did have a premise that wasn't fully worked out that I did try. And I wouldn't say that it led to the ultimate punchline, but it did lead somewhere funny. And it did give me the confidence to be like, I need to go back and write this.
Right. Yeah.
And then Ivan texted me later, Ivan Decker, and he's like, hey,
Great
that was
comic.
really funny.
Yeah.
That thing. And I was like, oh, yeah, I did bring that up on stage.
Yeah.
And I was like, so that gave me the confidence to be like, all right, let me go write this out and put more thought into it.
Yeah. And to kind of, come back to you and the booking process, like you are great. And I want to commend you on how many comics I've met through you. I didn't know Ivan Decker. You had mentioned him. You're like, do you know Ivan Decker? And I was like, no. There's so many comics. And then there are great comics that I don't know. And then there are like amazing comics that I've never heard of. He's one guy that is just amazing.
such
what
a pro.
great comic.
Yeah.
And that little piece makes me love comedy because I
Yeah.
can go months and see the same faces and then there's this one person that I've never heard of that's like crushing it. It's got like a Netflix special.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, wow, it's so
and,
cool.
And that night it was light. And he fucking brought it
Brought it.
and just like treated it like it was a full room. And
It's
like
like
a real
music.
show.
You find a cool record
Yeah.
and you're like,
I want to get back into vinyl.
oh yeah, I have a crazy vinyl collection.
Do you really?
Yeah.
I dumped mine before I moved to America. It was the biggest regret.
why?
I just didn't want to deal with it. Importing it and all that shit.
Yeah. And now look at you. Wanting
Big
it again.
mistake.
Yeah. Especially now, it's like $1 billion $1 billion industry again.
Yeah, I mean, I sold the lot for like a low amount and I probably lost a few grand, but nothing like crazy.
You could probably buy someone's vinyl collection and just start back where you were
Yeah, exactly. And
if you wanted.
I think I like different things now anyway. But I had a lot of like first presses of like some rap stuff. That's,
Yeah.
Maybe I sold for 10. It's worth 50 now.
Right.
Whatever. It doesn't.
And to me, it's not the value of the money. It's just like you said, it's a first press. It might be a song that you loved in the club. That was a thing we did.
Yeah.
We'd go and listen to songs in the clubs.
I was thinking about clubs now. Do people go to clubs? Am I just old now? Because I feel like remember like every song is like we're in the club, we're dancing, it's the club.
Yeah, right.
And you're like they don't. That's not like
no, I mean
culture
well,
anymore.
In LA, no. because it's festival stuff.
Yeah, it's more
But
festival
if you go
EDM.
to if you go to Atlanta, there's still clubs, but they're usually strip clubs playing the music.
They still exist, but like the focus of the night out used to be the hip hop club.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, gone.
There's a couple here in town. There's a
Oh
couple.
yeah, they're still there.
But they're not. It's not like it was.
Yeah, I think EDM and dance music kind of took over.
Yeah, and there was also this terrible narrative that hip hop, if you played hip hop at the club, it would bring violence and like a bad.
Oh yeah, they wouldn't allow jerseys and remember. Yeah,
It was like oh, if you're playing that kind of music, then fights are gonna break out. It's like
yeah. I did like the. So my friend, one of my good friends, is friends with the Swedish House Mafia guys, and we went to their show at the Avalon.
Yeah.
And then we went. They had this like VIP area behind them on stage, and I was talking to them as they were doing their stuff, and they had CDs of all their stuff, and 2 Pioneer CD DJs. I'm like, why do you do it that way? They're like, oh, it's just more reliable. You can walk with a stack of CDs. Granted, okay, this is 2009.
Yeah.
But like they're throwing CDs, and I just thought it was fascinating. And the CDs were like almost unlabeled, and they knew where everything was.
Yeah, they're
and
just in an order, right?
Yeah, and you're like, oh, this one. I guess this is common knowledge for you, but for me, I was like, wow,
Yeah.
CD DJs.
Well, if you watch like old turntable lists,
Yeah.
they have the stack of they know exactly. They got the tape where the mark is.
Yeah,
They know
I was familiar with
exactly.
that a bit
Same thing
more.
with CDs.
Yeah.
And now it's just one little MP. It's just like a
So
little stick,
USB drive.
sticks it in, and boom.
Or sometimes there's like a cloud service now.
Yeah.
That clubs have. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. It's you used to, just like anything, right? You used to have to lug everything, and then it became less slugging. Then it became, what do you do? Oh, I'm a DJ. That's just where's your stuff? It's like, it's right here. The club's gonna have everything for me. I'm just gonna plug and play. And watching, the DJs now. We're kind of sidetracked here, but watching the DJs now, where you get the Steve Aoki, who's like,
But he's an industry. Like these DJs become industries.
Right.
They're a label. They're a performer. They're a link to new talent.
Yep.
They're commercials. They're advertising. Like, it's so impressive. Like even I couldn't name a Marshmello song. If you put a gun to my head and said name one Marshmello song, or I'll blow your brains out.
It's like Chainsmokers, same thing, right?
I could name some Chainsmoker songs.
Oh, okay, got it.
But Marshmello, I think
Says a lot about you, Latif.
Does it really?
No.
Actually, gun to my head, I don't know if I could, but I know of and know that I have for sure heard Chainsmoker songs.
Right.
I've never heard a Marshmello song.
Yeah.
And that's the testament to their fucking business acumen.
And the age group.
Age group, is it younger?
Yes. Yeah, I mean they put him in a Fortnite.
Yeah, but
Like, he
Travis
had like
Scott
a
in
Fortnite.
Fortnite.
Yeah, but he's a younger.
They put LeBron in Fortnite.
Okay.
When Fortnite first launched, I was like, I want to do a stand-up show in Fortnite.
That'd be dope.
This is like 5 years ago, and I was like, I was too lazy to make it happen, and I was like, and then the pandemic hit. I was like, this would have been fucking G.
Yeah, it would have been cool, except it would be tough because like the reason why music works is because the dances that they have. You're like they're dancing to your punchline. You're like,
it would be awkward. But Jenny Yang did it with Animal Crossing.
oh, interesting.
She did a stand-up show in Animal Crossing, and,
Yeah.
I watched it, and it was very good.
Yeah, the virtual stuff. Reggie Watts does a lot of stuff in VR too. I like that space. I think it's cool. I think
I mean, eventually we're all just gonna plug in. Our life is almost a plug-in right now.
Aren't we already plugged in?
Dude, like I went on a deep dive on this like Elon Musk style "Are we in the Matrix right
Okay.
now?"
All right.
stuff.
What did you find?
I found nothing.
Okay.
Because it's not real. But
Oh,
it was
shots.
No, it's an interesting thought experiment. But like, since you can't prove, it's one of those things like death and God. Like it's a thought experiment, but you can't for sure prove it. You either have to, that's your belief or you're not, or whatever. But it is interesting that like we can so much of our life, and it's even crazier. It's highlighted because of the pandemic. We used to drive to offices to send emails. We would move our physical bodies to go move digital information around. How crazy and dumb is that? That is the one thing that in 50 years, that's going to be the highlight. They were not Corona. They're going to be like, they drove to send emails.
Yeah. Why didn't they just...
They burned fossil fuel dinosaurs, got in metal boxes to go send emails.
They didn't just think the email and then send it? That's crazy.
That's even a better point. Yeah.
Oh, wait, you had to type it out from your home? That's weird. We just think it, and there it goes.
And then at some point, you'd be like, wait, why aren't the computers just all sending what? We will become useless at some point.
Humans?
Yes.
Or just...
We will become useless for more and more things as time goes on, to the point where our lives will just be actualizing our dreams and desires.
I believe you and I will be long dead by then.
And then make us all just do our own thing. Like Star Trek. You ever watch Star Trek?
I mean, no, but I'm familiar with it.
They're all just like there, and like, it seems like everyone, I mean, they bought the one outfit and they're walking around.
Yeah, but they don't,
happy.
they're not needed either. The whole ship could have ran without them. Like, the funny thing about Star Trek is if you were to take the technology that they actually had in that time space, humans aren't a thing. They're not a thing at that point. What you're saying in the future, you're talking about that future?
The Gene Roddenberry future, yeah.
I'm not talking about the Gene Roddenberry. I'm talking about the future you're saying in that time frame is what took place in the Star Trek time frame. We are not existent. That ship flies itself. There are robots or drones on that ship. There aren't humans.
Yeah, but they're bored.
Yeah.
They want to go.
Okay. Yeah, I guess you're right.
A lot of things like are from boredom.
Yeah.
Like, how many times do you eat when you're bored?
Well, it was up until...
before the new diet.
Yeah. It was all the time.
Yeah, me too. I mean, that's why I was...
Or go and hang out with people and eat. I didn't need to do that either. That was like a part of like the community thing.
Last night, if everyone's like, let's go eat, I would have gone and eat, and I didn't need to.
Yeah, they did, and I watched them.
I saw your discipline inspired me to leave.
Yeah.
Because I was like,
they're
okay.
like, let's go get in and out. And I was like, I'll go and watch. I'm not eating.
Don't even watch. That's too tempting.
Well, no, because right now I'm in this point where I like comedians to explain what it tastes like. It's fun. It's like
you should film it.
It's like a mukbang for me.
Yeah. If you're not filming what you're doing, why are you doing it?
Yeah. How did I know if it really even happened?
But what's the point?
Yeah. Why? What are you're living in real life?
You're not going to monetize your hangouts? You're
I'm fucking
way
up.
behind. Everything is a content creation moment.
Yeah.
In and out. Was it taste? You just crying in the corner?
Yeah. It was Ari Manis and Alex, my guy over there at Nitecap, and we went and they ate and I watched them.
Yeah.
It was great. I said, "What does it taste like?" And Ari goes, "You know what it tastes like."
I hadn't seen him in a long time, but
I love that guy.
He's great.
I really love Ari Manis a lot.
I told him that someone wrote on my, like, it was my podcast or my Instagram. They're like, you look like if Fahim and Ari had a baby.
It's great.
And then he said, oh yeah, people come up to him and think he's Fahim all the time as well.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
and
interesting.
I could see it.
Interesting.
Because he did like a apartment series show at your place yesterday.
So Ari would put on his apartment shows throughout the year whenever. He's been doing that for a few years. And then he wanted to do an apartment. He's talked about it for years.
Yeah.
When I was doing my festival, he was like, "Oh, I'll do the apartment festival alongside yours, so I can really bury you." You know, like.
Yeah.
And then he had mentioned it to me earlier this year, and he's like, "I think I'm gonna do it this year." I was like, "Yeah, you should do it." So then he did an apartment fest where all the shows took place at his apartment, and he was like, should we do one show at the Nitecap? And I was like, absolutely. So the last show was the apartment show at the Nitecap, which, by the way, 10 or 12 people actually went to his apartment thinking the show was there.
Oh, there's a thing. Did you wait for them, or they just didn't come?
I don't think. I mean, some came late, but like 50% of them didn't come. He had put in an email, but people don't read emails.
They don't read instructions.
No.
To get someone to read a full email.
Yeah.
I mean, it's mostly like delete.
Yeah. And that's why I think the text is the new email.
Do you think a text collecting phone numbers for a text-based promo for a show would work?
Oh, yes. 100% that's the new wave. 100%. Because think of it this way. How often do you read emails versus you see text messages?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I got a text
And how often
message.
do you take action on a text?
If
I'm trying to get a hold of you, I'm not going to email you.
No.
Who knows when that will happen?
Well, and also, I don't know. I don't have the What?
Instagram DM promo the show.
You did it.
Game changer.
You did it. You did it. Except the DM part is it goes into a waste, like a junk DM. People don't see those sometimes.
No, but you DM your followers to your show page.
Oh, I see what you're saying. That's a good idea. Look at you.
Can you do that in one action?
No.
I think you can.
Can you? I don't think you can.
I think you just changed the game.
Well, maybe you did, and if you did, thank you. But what I was gonna say is, you see people's phones, and it gives me anxiety. Like when you look at my phone, I have no bubbles on my iPhone, none, no notifications, clean.
Yeah.
I pull my phone out, I have none. I'll pick up someone else's phone, and I see.
Oh yeah, I'm zero inbox.
9,999 emails in their little bubble. I'm like, how do you manage your life this
I
way?
don't know.
So that's what I'm saying with email. Nobody's looking. But if you do DM, wherever they're spending the most time, which is text or Instagram,
Facebook Messenger.
Facebook Messenger.
Oh, I think the shows the Nitecap just got more populated.
I think so.
And everyone else who's watching tonight.
Ooh, turn to the camera and look. I love that.
I want to get back to one thing we were talking about earlier,
please.
which is like, so how do you like people to reach out to you? So you're like, we know you have a philosophy and you book high quality content. You're familiar with a lot of the people in town, and that helps. But like, I'm a new person and I want to get on your show or get on your radar. What's the best way to reach out?
I now have a booker, and you can reach my booker at my email. His email now is how you do it.
Okay.
So you contact my booker, and my booker will watch your tape.
So you send a tape.
You send tape.
Yeah.
You send tape. You do not. Do you want me to do the do's or the do nots?
Give the do's and the don'ts.
Okay. Well, I'm going to start with the don'ts then.
Okay.
Let's get those out of the way. Do not send a tape, and then tell me your avails for said booking. We haven't decided if you're going to get booked yet. Let's start with just, hey, I'm a comic. Here's my credits. Here's my tape. I'd love to come do your show. Okay. That's it. Don't tell me when you're available, what nights you like to go up, what time you like to. It's crazy how some of these younger comics think that
This is good. I'm glad we're having this conversation.
And I'm sorry if I'm sounding like a dick, but it's
No,
annoying.
we'll get to that later.
Okay, thank you.
So there's the people. Let's divide people who have late night and don't. Just as
Great.
Just who only have two buckets.
Okay.
So someone who has late night,
Great,
emails you a clip.
I just had one recently, who had
and says, "Hey, I'd love to do your show."
This is
you don't want them to say, "Here are my avails."
This is what he said and I say he because that's who he was.
Okay.
He said, "Hey, I've heard good things. Love the show. Here are my credits. Here's the tape. If you have any availability for me, I'd love to do it." That's it. That's professional.
Yeah, I like that.
Sent the tape. Let the words speak for themselves. When you put the more clitter clatter in front of your tape, that means your tape's not good. If your tape is just small clips, any booker wants one long tape.
Yeah, 5 to 7 minutes.
5 to 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Do not send clips that I can look up on Instagram. Make sure the audio quality is good. Start it right at the beginning of you getting on stage. I want to hear what you're going to do when you get on stage. Don't give me the, fade up and now you're in the middle of your act. 5 to 7 minutes. From the beginning of your tape to, 7 or 10 minutes of your tape. Because that's another thing. People will hide what happened at the beginning. If you've spent a minute, and I watched all the tapes that come in. I was doing that for the festival too.
Wow.
We watched hundreds of tapes.
With popcorn?
This
was good.
And a gun. There was like popcorn in one hand and a
popcorn gun.
Yeah. Pop gun.
Yeah.
If you're sending me a tape and you haven't gotten to a joke in a minute to a minute 30 seconds in your act, I'm going to be very upset. Do your jokes. If you're sending in tape, it better be ready. A lot of these guys are just sending tape that they get the first tape. Like, just because you've done a show and then you have a tape does not mean it's ready to like submit to places.
Yeah, it's good to send it to someone else who you trust their opinion. Like I sent a few tapes, like 3 tapes to someone's opinion I really trust. And they gave me good feedback on which one was the best. And it's helpful to have that.
But you're also further along in this world right now, in the comedy world. So you have a good taste. You're a tastemaker. You know good taste. So you can say, I'm ready. That's the one I'm going to send to my friend. Most people are just the first tape that they get, they send.
Yeah.
And
Well, I think the person in the Tonight Show bucket is going to send their late night clip,
of course,
which is probably going to be good.
Yeah.
It's going to be all those things because it's already been vetted.
Right.
And so that's a great.
And a lot of people don't know how much the vetting process goes into a late night. So
it's super vetted. Yeah.
Right. So, if you're sending, if one of your credits is I've been on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, then you're ready for any great stage in this city.
Right.
If if your credit is, two Small Twerps podcast, and you did some fluff festival in your small town, great, but your tape better be good.
Yeah, different things, and that's why I was talking about those two buckets, because I feel personally that if the Tonight Show level person is sending me something, I want their avails, because and I come at it from a different perspective because I only have my shows on one day. So it's like when you send me like, here are my Wednesdays, that shows me, oh, you looked up to see when the show, like you did a little bit of research.
Right.
It's not a copy and paste email. You're like, oh, your show's on Wednesday.
Yeah.
I'm available these 2 Wednesdays. I'm showing you I'm at the Tonight Show level of a comic, and that makes my life easier.
Yeah, but that's
because honestly, for me, I don't watch tapes because I'm not a booker. Like I don't want to watch them because I don't want to be evaluating your comedy.
Yeah.
I have a booker now who watches the tapes, and it's great, and she's amazing. Her name's Carolyn. And,
shout out to Carolyn.
Carolyn Gatomer. Hit her up if you want to do Latif and Friends at the Nitecap.
Yeah.
And it's latifandfriends@gmail.com. Yeah.
That's nice you just gave the email out.
I want people to is one less DM.
I guess you're right.
Yeah.
All right. nightcapla@gmail.com.
There you go. Because like even at some point I had on the bio for the show page, I said, hey, email please only your submissions. And then people would DM, and there's a button underneath that says email. And people would DM and said, what's the email?
Yeah, see, this is what I'm saying. You won't get the people that are on late night are past that point where they go, they're not going to DM you. They understand the game. So that's what I'm saying. Like,
well, some will DM if they don't have the email.
No, but if there's a button for it and you're saying it, they've done the, that's what I'm saying. Like, they've passed that point of.
But I took that off because I was like, too many people. I was like, all right, I'll just have to respond. I like systems. I want it to be one way all the time.
I am not opposed to that.
And since I wasn't able to achieve a system, I gave up on the email system. And if the people are going to DM, sometimes I'm going to have to respond, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah, I get a lot of DMs in the on the Instagram page.
Yeah.
And and it's a lot of just inquiries and or inquiries, depending on what you want to say. Inquiries, I think, is the right way.
Inquiries.
Not
I inquired,
inquiries.
But I'm making an inquiry.
Yeah, that's right. So if they're making an inquiry,
yeah,
and that they've read said email portion of the description, yeah. But most people don't. Especially if you're a newer comedian, then you're just like, I don't know, I'm just trying to, hey, please see my stuff.
Yeah, Yeah, it's hard. I think because all of us, I would say you and I included, also have to reach out. And so I like having these conversations because not only am I on the receiving end, it's like through talking to you and Mike and other people who are also bookers, I'm like, oh, I never thought about it that way.
I'm so glad I have a booker now.
Absolutely. It adjusts my thinking in terms of my reach out.
Yeah.
Like one of Mike's tips, when he said, he's like, I want people to come from a recommendation. I want people to go and like have someone recommend them.
Yeah, I get a lot of hard vouches.
And that helped when I took that into consideration for my booking. That helped me a lot. So when I booked a lot of stuff in New York, I was like, well, let me talk to people I know and get recommendations. And that was like a world of difference.
I call it a hard vouch.
Yeah.
So if you're a comedian that I trust and have confidence in, and you tell me about a comedian, it's a hard vouch.
Yeah,
and
like
I'd say
you hard vouch for me to stand up New York.
Yeah.
And that helped
tremendously. And I just talked to him yesterday. We've got a big announcement we're going to make with Stand Up New York. So.
That's great.
But he said, hey, thanks for sending me Latif. I said, yeah, he's a great comedian. He's a great guy.
Thanks. Yeah, no, that was awesome.
Like, yeah. And so that's funny because we just talked yesterday.
Oh, hilarious.
I was going to tell you that off air, but that's cool. I got to tell you on.
Hey.
And he was like, and he told me, that's the thing is once you give somebody and it worked, then they're like, send me anybody you want.
Yeah.
Because now they trust.
Yeah.
So I'll have a comedian reach out to me and say, love, I did the show. Thank you so much. It was a lot of fun. Hey, this comedian, I think you should check him out. And I write, well, when I was booking, I write, is this a hard vouch?
Yeah.
Because that means,
yeah. Or is it a friend vouch?
yeah. And this is a Mike Falzone thing. Shout out to Mike Falzone. Cause he was the one that kind of gave me the idea to do the hard vouch thing.
Yeah.
It's you're giving me your comedian card.
Yeah.
And I trust this person.
I thought about doing it like this is a totally new way of booking. I want to run this by you.
Let's listen.
So you start a new show. From day one, you book the 5 people you want.
I know where you're going with this.
From that point on, the only people who can get on the show
Are from those 5 people.
yeah. And those 5 people only have 3 recommendations, lifetime recommendations.
Whoa. How many? I mean, you run out after how many?
No, you wouldn't, because those 5 people would now be able to recommend 15.
Okay.
And everyone they recommend could recommend 3 more.
I see what you're saying.
And this is the thing. And
that's a good idea.
And you can only recommend. It eliminates your responsibility as a booker. They're going to be careful about who they recommend,
right?
Because they only can do it 3 times. And now you just
what if a couple of them recommend the same person? How does that work?
Walk me through that.
All right. Well, I want Mike Falzone, Audrey Stewart, and
no, it goes the other way. So the people who want to get on the show have to get 3 recommendations from those people.
Well, wait, what? Then, so Ivan Decker has to be recommended by 3 people?
Yes.
To get on the show?
Don't use him as an example because he's my friend and he's awesome. But just say comedian X.
Comedian X.
Comedian X has to go get 3 recommendations out of those 5. You're less enthused with that method?
it's hard to, it would take a while. Because now you're contacting those, as a comedian, you're trying to contact it to get those recs. No?
I guess you could do it the other way. Everyone recommends 3.
And then you have 15.
The 5, and then you take the ones who happen to have gotten 3. That's a little bit hard. Or you do like 3 shows. Like I feel like to get on the show, you need the recommendation of like 3 other people who have done it, basically. So maybe there needs to be maybe you could even start it now because you're like, all right. If I were to start now with Latif and Friends, to get on the show, you need the recommendations of 3 people who've done it, and they only have 3 recommendations.
Wow.
That would take care of itself. Wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And look, some people who are average would slip through the cracks. But who cares? That's going to happen regardless.
And my thing is I hate favors. I used to like favors. Now I hate them.
I don't mind a favor that's not overtly reciprocal I don't like trades.
Yeah.
I like favors. I don't mind there being there's going to be some reciprocity down the line. It's like going on a date. Saying, hey, do a swap is like going on a date, sitting down before you order and be like, let's have sex.
Right.
We all know why we're here.
Well, that's the part. And thank you for bringing that up because I was going to tell you the next part that bothers me is the disregard to you're still talking to a human being, which is like, I only want one thing from you.
Well, that's LA.
Is it?
It is. It's a social climber town.
Yeah, it's annoying.
Yeah, it
is. And I'm glad that I have a thing that people want. That's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm talking about you can be my friend, or at least fake it a little bit better, that you're not just wanting one thing. This is what you're talking about. If you're on a date, and the guy's like, I love your lips. The girl's like, dude, can you fucking mask it a little bit better?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? First date and you're trying to fuck me? Like, at least...
But it's like you're just leading... you have to trust the universe or the process enough to know... We all know what's going on.
Right.
And if it's the thing, don't be obvious, don't be desperate, and don't be boring. Don't lead with the desperation.
That's a lot of comedians in this town. I wouldn't say a lot, but...
No, that's a quote I got from some showbiz book that's on the shelf, but like... It's the rules of LA. And this is talking about actors. Like, don't be boring. Don't be desperate. And the desperation comes from not trusting that if you give, you'll receive. You know? Or the people who they want to take twice and give once.
Or they just take and never give.
I mean, yeah,
that's most of...
Those people don't last.
Ooh.
They get a rep and they don't last.
Well, we know a few of those.
Yeah, but like, I think the best way is I like to give before you receive. I'll be way more generous, and you know, we all know who doesn't return, and I'm not looking for those obvious returns, but it's nice.
Yeah.
And we remember.
Yeah.
We're like, I know I booked this person several times and they've never booked me.
I used to, and
I know that.
I used to get butthurt about that because I was new to comedy. So I would book somebody and then I would book them again. And then they would reach out to me and I'd be like, dude, you never did anything for me. Why am I doing anything for you? Now I'm to a point where I want to be good enough so that they book me, not because I did something for them.
And you don't need it as much. Like, it's not... There's a thing when you're starting out where it's like you need these things to it's like in a way your first credits in the town, you know, by doing the show.
Yeah.
It's like how you get the next. There's a little bit of that. But once you get over all of that, you're like, oh, it doesn't matter.
Right.
You know, it's like, so you got one more show. So you got the most difficult show to get on this year. Okay. See, and you can't do it for 18 months.
Yeah.
Or a year or 6 months if you're like super awesome.
Well, and that's why I don't, I mean, you were talking about the booking process. I haven't submitted for any of the shows in Los Angeles. I don't need to right now. I want to get good.
Well, you have stage time.
I do.
So,
but
like,
if I'm going out of town, then I submit or I'll reach out. But for Los Angeles' sake, I'll wait for people to reach out to me. There's enough comedians that need the stage time who don't have what I have.
And you still get shows. You're on the Laugh Factory. You're doing stuff. So like from afar, it seems like you're getting enough.
Well, but I don't think it's me. It's because I've been putting in the work.
Yeah.
That's the important part is keep your head down, be nice, work hard. That's
because it doesn't seem like you're not doing it. You're not using it trades to do it. You're just do that. You're getting them when you can get them and when people want you.
Yeah.
But you're not leveraging that thing to do that.
No, and that's why the shows.
Because I think you know that even if you don't, it will.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Shows suffer. When you trade, shows suffer. I don't like suffering shows.
Yeah. Putting the show first always works better.
Yeah.
You know? And because then the show is better and then it's a better thing. It's a better thing for you. It's a better thing for the people involved and it shows you care.
Yeah. I'm really proud of what's going on there. You know, the audience comes, they have a great time.
Yeah.
You know, I've been to other places and seen other shows and, you know, I see the audience they leave, you know, kind of like, oh, okay, well, I could have spent time watching Netflix.
Yeah.
But it's like people are really responsive and they're super excited and, you know, that means something to me. And
what are the tips you would give for someone starting a show to like, these are the things you should do? And then give us your don'ts as well, because I like your don'ts.
Comedy psychology is a big deal to me, and I teach in some of the younger, you know, Gordon
comedy
Jacks.
Psychology.
Yeah, there's psychology with the comedy side. So when someone shows up to see a show, they are making no decision. You make all the decisions from them as soon as they show up. If Latif and I go and we're going to see, you know, the great Annie Letterman at the Improv. And we have our tickets, and we walk in, and do you want my don'ts or do you want perfect or do you want what shouldn't happen?
Give us your do's and then give us your don'ts.
Okay, and we're greeted by one of the people at the door. Hey, how are you guys? Wow, welcome to the Improv. Great. Oh, you get right this way, and they're seating us, and the music's playing, everything's great, and here are your seats. Okay, just so you know, no flash photography, no video recording. Have a great time. Great. Now we've sat down. We have our seats. Now, the only decision we have to make now is what we're going to drink. Mm-hmm. That's it. Nothing else is...
I like that.
If you go...
You're not deferring to them.
No. Because
you're in charge. It's your house.
It's sales, too. Okay? You're getting them to... This is... So, I'm slowing down in my mind right now.
You have a lot of things to say.
Yeah, because... so now, let's do the don't. We're going to see Annie Lederman at the Improv, and here are our seats. Hey, welcome to the Improv. Hey, awesome. You guys, you wherever you want to sit. Okay. I guess right here is good. That's fine. And he walks away. Like, now we're left to make our decisions. Like, well, is this a good seat here?
Yeah.
When they sit down, like, and I learned this at the store, the door guys at the store, you do not let somebody tell you where to sit. You tell them where to sit.
Yeah.
Because now that's one less decision they've made. So now they can just focus on the comedy. I'm going to tell you where the jokes are. I'm going to tell you where to laugh. I'm going to tell you where to breathe. I'm going to tell you where to think. Those are all decisions you're making for someone else. A little bit. It's the psychological part. But it's sales. It's hypnosis. It's all that's important. And when you take less decisions away from people, it's same with movies. Movies do it too.
Yeah.
It's like, especially now with like, here are your seats. Here are the previews.
The show's moving with or without you.
That's it.
Yeah. Turn your phones off.
Boom.
Yeah.
And we're watching.
Yeah.
And you're eating popcorn, right? So, and then you're escaping.
Yeah.
The escapism is gone. The reality is gone, and you're just paying attention. So that's the next part, is the ambiance. What does that look like? Are you doing it in a high ceiling in a bar that's loud with a bunch of TVs playing? Gonna be bad for comedy. It needs to be, the only thing that's happening is focusing on the stage, focusing on what's happening.
Mm-hmm. That's why I'm very against talking in the back of shows.
I am with you 100% with that as well.
Yeah.
It's also rude. Like, you came to hang out at the show. If you want to talk, there are literally any place else you want to be to talk. All you have to do is take that comedian and move anywhere else to talk to them. I know you're at the show together, but like, go have a coffee or go eat a burger.
That's one thing I love about Todd Glass is he'll go and shush people, and like he was one of the first people I saw really like put that extra mile of effort into when he was doing his show at the Dynasty for his Netflix special. He's like, we're doing this.
Yep.
Pizzas. He's like, oh, the pizzas are here. Where's the fresh oregano? And like sprinkles oregano on it and around on a little plate. And you're like, oh, you're like really care.
So, and he's a big inspiration to me as far as the psychology of a room.
Yeah.
Low ceilings, chairs that aren't comfy.
Yeah.
Like, you go to these Hollywood spots and it's like, oh yeah, there's a sofa and it's hot. It's like when you go to this night show, it's 57 degrees in the studio because the lights. No, it's because if you're cold, you're upright and you're listening.
A hot show is the worst. The worst.
But that's all
as a performer too. Yeah. It's horrendous.
It's psychology. Though. Yeah. It's all that. It's low ceilings, dimly lit. Focus on the stage, shut the fuck up in the audience. Like, all that stuff is very important for a show. So if you're going to run a show, those things are really important. Like tight seating, everything has to be focused. Don't have the TVs running. If the World Series is playing while you're doing your show, it's a terrible idea. Bars are not very good unless there's a space that they're like. I went to a bar here and they were doing a show in the back of the bar. And I was like, oh, this is terrible. I mean, the bar's like popping and they have this comedy show happening. And like, if the comedian's taking a silence, you can hear the jukebox playing. It's like, wow.
I mean, you can put comedy everywhere, but you might want to not. It's like we've all done bar shows, and sometimes they're fun, but it's a challenge. It's like guerrilla fighting.
I like bar shows. I think that's where you can really sharpen.
Yeah.
But I also really love comedy rooms too.
There's nothing wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with doing them. But if we're talking about the ideal situation, is not that.
Yeah. If you're a new comic, you want to try and find a place that has a space that's just doing one thing in an area, because that will help you. And then the other thing is, and this is something that I've been pushing, especially in Los Angeles, if it's a bar show, it's free. Fine. I'm highly against them. It should be paid. Every show should be paid. Bar shows, fine. Should be donation based. Have a bucket. Try to get people. If there's no value to the show, people will not value it. You have to make it where this is something that I've given my hard-earned money or my universal basic income to the show.
Just all the universal basic income supports comedy shows.
Yeah, but it's like,
every time you pay for something, there's value.
Right. If mom and dad give you a car, you're going to fuck that car up.
Yeah.
But if you spent all summer working really hard and then buying that car, you're going to treat it so well.
Yeah.
And that's how it is. So like if you're going to do a show, and it's hard, It's hard to do that, especially in Los Angeles, because you want people to come out. Free show, free show, free show. That's just people they're like, free show. We won't show up. Maybe we will. It's fine. Let's drink. Let's talk during the show. Who gives a fuck? We didn't pay for this.
I like the way you do sometimes the flash giveaways because it gets people in, but doesn't detract from the fact that it's still a paid thing.
And the flash giveaways we do, which is great because I don't do it very often, which is why they're great. They are usually people that have been to the show.
Yeah.
And when I get a DM, when I put that out, I get so many DMs because people are like, I'd love to come. They understand they've paid for the show. They know it's a great show and the lineups are fantastic. Mm-hmm. I would love free tickets. Yeah. I've never won anything. This is great.
Yeah, it's a contest and there's value assigned to a giveaway as opposed to $0.
Yeah. Yeah, so and I'll fight that tooth and I've been fighting it. Like I've done shows where it was free. I used to do a show for 2 years at the back of not far from here, at the back of a little restaurant, and it was a great show. And I paid the comics with food. The owner was very nice and said, each comic can pick something off the menu, but I would get crazy people in there that were like, I don't have to see this show. I'm going to talk to my friend. And I would just have to fight them.
When they paper the room, essentially.
It's like, what is this? You know what I mean? But if there's a value to it and people feel they're getting something, they'll take care. They'll like it. They'll appreciate it.
I was thinking about, here's another revolutionary idea.
Wow. Latif, what is in that coffee this morning?
I have a lot of them. I love it. I don't have someone who's to talk to who's also goes through the trials and tribulations that I go through.
I love it.
So, free show.
Okay.
But you pay. Let's call it $10. You pay $10 for the ticket.
3 people pay $10 for the ticket. Okay.
So everyone pays $10 for the ticket. It's free because if you come to the show, you get the money back. Now you get the money, and if you no show, you don't get the money back. And how this takes care of itself is there's a sponsor that pays for the show. So you get the show sponsored. People assign value for it because they want their money back.
Well, or the money. Well, wait. It's a giveaway then because they haven't paid for them. So
they're paying. So they buy a ticket.
So you and I bought a ticket to the show.
You buy a ticket. You come to the show.
And then when you come to the show, you get your money back.
You get your money back.
Okay.
Your mind is blowing.
Well, because I know I'm thinking through this right now.
Because it's genius, is what it is. It's literally the best thing that's ever been said.
Can I try and pick it apart a little bit?
Yeah. I don't know if I was finished, but pick away.
No, go ahead, finish.
No, I'm finished. Go.
Okay. That is. It's. I like it. I'm worried that if somebody comes to the show, they will still not treat it well because they'll get their money back anyway. Yeah. So my question to you is, let me help.
Oh, here it comes. I can feel it.
No, here's my, if you, at the end of the show, okay, you get your money back.
If you didn't like it.
If you didn't like it.
You're guaranteed to like it. You can ask for your money back.
That's how you do it. Yeah, I didn't like this show. I'd like my $10 back. And you have to tell that to the person. They're never going to say it. It's like the money back guarantee.
You need a sponsor now.
Right.
My next show is a money back guarantee.
It's a good idea. It's a great idea. It's because it does. I think the sponsor still helps because let's say everybody does come in.
I think sponsors are good for shows generally if it's done the right way.
Yeah.
Because nobody's making tons of money on these shows. Like it's not a cash cow the way like a theater show. Right. These aren't like $100 tickets. We're talking $10 to $20. So having a sponsor to guarantee that the comics get paid and there's a minimum amount of...
And they have the money. These companies, these liquor companies, or there's these sponsors, these weed places, they have a budget that they have to spend every year.
But you still
can't give it $400 or $1,000 to a small venue.
You still have to provide... They like... Having dealt with a lot of these sponsors before, even if it's $100 to $500, they still need to show... They still are employees.
Of course.
So they have to submit reports. This is why I gave the money. And companies are very accounting based. So they monitor every little thing. And $500 to like a publicly traded company is nothing. But
If you do it 500 times, it is.
yeah, but if you go and take $500 out of the company's petty cash and they ask you where it went, you're like, I don't know. Why do you care? They're going to be like, you're fired. So it's not that extreme, but they need a certain accountability.
Right.
So we as shows, I think, need to get better at showing why is there value to being a sponsor, other than I'm getting value, the show producer, but I think there can be a better job of providing value to the brands.
I'm lucky because I get a lot of eyeballs on the brand right now. So that's I haven't even reached out to sponsors yet.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready to do that, and then when we get inside.
I would love to talk further about like what the value can be, because it is interesting and there's something there, and that I don't think anyone's cracked that well, other than the best I've seen it done is like, hey, here's free product and we're getting people to try our product. Now, if you're an established brand, the feedback I've received is getting people to try the product is not enticing. If you're a new brand, it is, but then that new brand becomes a big brand. So it's not a self-sustaining model. Right. There is a model somewhere where it's like sponsorship makes sense.
Well, where's the big idea? Latif,
well,
come on.
You actually augmented my big idea with the money back guarantee, which kind of eliminates needing the sponsor.
Right.
But my idea admittedly didn't have the component of how to work with the sponsor in the best way forward.
So we have to come up with that.
We do.
All right, I can do that.
Yeah. Let's make that.
Great.
Well, we'd like to talk about goals, so I think that should be our goal.
We have another goal that we're going to talk about after the show, too.
Food?
That's one, but also the other idea I had, we take little drives to places. Remember? It's it's where I don't want to talk about it on the podcast, but we're going to be doing some shows elsewhere.
Oh yeah, we got some other stuff in the works. Stay tuned. Yeah. So, well, Aaron, this has been great. It went a little long, but I knew it would. So. I knew it would.
I think you're fantastic. You're doing a great job. I mean, I'm glad that I met you. There's a lot of comedians in this town that I haven't crossed paths with, and you're one of those people I'm glad that I'm getting closer with. And
Same to you.
I wish you nothing but success, and I know that this is going great, and we're going to have great things in the future too.
Absolutely. Well, tell the people your contacts, your socials, Nitecap.
Nitecap LA at Gmail is the booking. At Nitecap LA, nitecap.la, and then me, Aaron Mliner, at Aaron Mliner, aaronmliner.com. Latif, thanks again. This has been fun. High five.
Hurrah.